Hey y'all, Julie here with Birmingham Mom Collective, and today we are talking about infant safe sleep with an expert from UAB St. Vincent's, Dr. Lisa Costa. How are you, Dr. Lisa?
I'm doing great today. Thank you so much for having me on.
Of course, and we're going to jump right in here. So, with our first question. So, our first question is, why is safe sleeping important for infants?
Safe sleeping is one of the biggest topics we're talking about right now. October is Safe Sleep Awareness Month. So the biggest importance are prevention of suffocation while the baby is sleeping, prevention of accidental injury if they're sleeping on a surface that's not protected, and it also promotes good sleep habits for the future.
Mm, definitely. And what is the safest position for a baby to sleep in and why? I know people are like always on the back, side. Tell me what's the best?
Yeah, well, there's been lots of controversy over the years, but we had a good study that came out in the early 1990s when the Back to Sleep campaign came out, and that is the safest position for babies to sleep is on their back. The biggest things we have to think about is on their back on a very firm, flat surface, not inclined anymore. We used to think about inclining the head of the bed. No incline, nothing loose in the bed with them, but on their back and swaddled lightly.
Okay. And so, when is it okay for babies to start sleeping on their stomachs? I know they start rolling at some point. So, when can they sleep on their stomachs?
So they do start to roll. So we say you don't need to put a baby to sleep in any other position beside on their back until they are a year old. Now, once infants can start to roll from their front to their back, then whatever position they end up in, that's fine for them to stay asleep in. But we still tell you to start with them sleeping on their back because it's the safest. Another thing I want to talk about is you don't want to swaddle an infant anymore after they can roll from front to back because they still don't have that ability to clear their airway, clear their face. So if they roll from front to back and they're in a lot of swaddled blankets, those blankets can get tangled up around their head, and then is one of the reasons that they can suffocate.
Okay, good to know. So is it okay to use crib bumpers, sleep positioners, wedges? I know those bumpers are so cute. Can we use those?
And you cannot use those anymore. Crib bumpers used to be beautiful and they were very elaborate, but we say nothing in the crib except for one flat fitted sheet tightly around the mattress. No stuffed animals, no fluffy blankets. The recommendation now is once they're able to roll, the first few months you bring them home, that you want to wrap them in a lightweight blanket, like a muslin blanket, the ones that they give you at the hospital when you go home. Everybody's seen those. They're blue and pink striped. That's a lightweight blanket, and you swaddle them nice and tight. No hat after they go home, because the same thing, the hat can slip down over their face, and then they suffocate that way. So a new recommendation is called a sleep sack. So the baby actually goes in a sleep sack, and then if they do roll from side to side as they're getting bigger, then the sleep sack goes with them. So no more blankets wrapped around them after they can start rolling.
Yeah.
But sleep sacks, you don't need anything weighted. They do have weighted blankets. I know a lot of adults think weighted blankets are great because it keeps you calm when you're asleep. Nothing weighted in the crib with a baby.
Okay, got it. Is it safe for a baby to sleep in a swing, a car seat, a carrier? Like if they fall asleep in the car, can you just bring them in and leave them in the car seat?
Nope, we don't want you to do that either. So when they're small and they do fall asleep in the car seat, but when they're in a car seat, we tell you need to have somebody in the back seat with them. What happens with the baby when they fall asleep in a crib or in a swing or in a car seat is they kind of slump down in the seat, and they don't have control over their airway good. So their little chin tucks down to their chest. And then even though they're trying to breathe, their airway is not, they can't protect their airway. They're not strong enough to hold their head up good when they're asleep. So always take them out. If they fall asleep in something, take them out, put them on a firm surface as soon as you get home.
Okay, good to know. Now, a bonus question I have is, would you recommend when the baby is very small to be sleeping in the same room with a parent, a mom or dad, or the mom sleep, in the same room as the baby?
Actually, we do say that. We want you to sleep with the baby in the room with you in a separate bed, and it's recommended until they're 6 months of age. That way you can get to the baby quickly. You're up and down in the middle of the night, oftentimes off because you're feeding or mom's breastfeeding. It's an easier access and you can hear the baby, but same room, separate bed.
Okay, great. And there's a lot of technology out there now too, where you can wrap something around their foot, like the owlet, I think is something. Do you recommend that as well?
None of those are recommended by AAP. They alarm often too frequently, and then they start to alarm and you've listened to them and you ignore them, and they have not been proven to reduce the risk of sudden infant death or sudden unexpected infant death. So they are not recommended by AAP.
Okay, great to know. Now, if there's someone out there that would like more information about infant safe sleep, where should they go?
Lots of places. I keep talking about American Academy of Pediatrics, but they're one of the biggest ones. So if you search AAP and then Safe Sleep, you can get lots of resources on there. We worry sometimes that babies are sleeping in situations that are unsafe simply because parents don't have the resources to have a separate crib or a separate bassinet. There's a great program called cribsforkids.org that can help with resources if parents need those. What we always want you to remember is there's resources out there. You can always ask your pediatrician. There's great stuff on Alabama Department of Public Health's website. But and I think there's even one called safesleep.org.
Okay, great. Those are all great resources, great websites that anybody could go and get some information and resources. So thank you so much for your time today, Dr. Lisa Costa. We so appreciate it. And we so appreciate all of the experts and wonderful resources you have at UAB St. Vincent's. Thank you so much for joining us today. And we hope we'll see you all next time. Thanks so much.
Thank you for having me. Bye-bye.
Bye.